Wagwan, wagwan. What's up, people? There again, you know what I mean? Welcome to another episode of Creative Always Be. This episode is called Creative Always Be Taking Headshots. Adrian Creary created a space for himself in an industry many believe to be oversaturated and is now the leader in his niche, Headshot. His sole focus is to help entrepreneurs, businesses look remarkable in their marketing. StudioCraft is now known as the go-to company for professional headshots across Jamaica. They have basically taken photos for almost all the companies. We are excited to talk to him about how he managed to take over this niche and also why he went for a niche as opposed to try to do like other photographers. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at StudioCraft Instagram page to kind of see the type of headshots and the quality of work that StudioCraft produce. Wagwan, my brother, wagwan, where you did? Hold on. Nah. Hold on, let me check something because your audio seem like it now come over. Yeah, but your audio supposed to come over. Let me check something because me don't know if your audio come over. 1 second. Sorry about that, brother, cause I'm gonna say me not hear your audio, so I don't know if your audio go nice stream. Alright, go on now. Say if you're muted. Oh, you're not muted. Oh, hold on. Shoot. Oh my gosh. Alright, talk now.
Testing, testing.
Ah, perfect. You're live, bro. Sorry about that. I didn't even know
All right,
you
no
were live.
problem, no problem, no
Yeah,
problem.
man. So welcome, brother. Welcome. The boss, Adrian Creary, StudioCraft boss. You know what I mean? And it's a pleasure to have you on the show, brother. No doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a pleasure to be here.
um, you're one of the persons them in the industry right now who is creating a certain wave and creating a certain quality work. And when we think about this show in terms of what I want this show to basically be, you're one of the persons where me basically think and say, yo, we have to get Adrian Curry on the show. You know what I mean? Because he has a vast amount of knowledge based on what he has created and what he has done in a short space of time. You know what I mean? And we definitely, I say, yo, the information, we definitely want you to share the information. So, firstly, we always ask everybody
Yeah.
this: how did you get started in the industry and then basically pivoting or switching? Well, I wouldn't say switch, move to this niche, so to speak.
Well, getting started in the industry, I've been doing photography for 10 years now, at least. Um, Professionally, first freelancing and then full time. Starting out, I was more into everything. Like you were saying before, moving from doing everything, I really felt like it was not it wasn't successful. It was a lot of energy being expended and not a lot of results. So I started off going to UA and dropping out of UA after my first year, not sure which direction I wanted to go in. I needed to find out what I wanted to do. So I did an aptitude test that summer, and I still never knew what I wanted to do. I basically checked off everything on that list saying, no, that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me. And then I came across, video editing, television production, that category of things really stood out to me. And because of that, I joined Carimac for that summer school program. And for that summer school program, I realized, yeah, this feels right to me. Um, I said that, I can start from here now and start to figure out where I wanted to be. Because in that first phase, it's all about education, it's all about learning everything because you don't know what you want to specialize in eventually. You want to just be learning and feeling out what grabs onto you, what you feel like you're making a contribution in. And so I I ended up not going back to UA, only because I took it upon myself to start learning everything online. Um, what is now called LinkedIn Learning used to be called lynda.com. And so lynda.com is this website now. It's on all online training and it's by all of the best tutors in the world. And so when I said I could get the best tutors in the world teaching all the software, all the latest versions, I said, this is really where I can put my head down and just learn it. So they gave certificates. I have over 150 hours of tutorials. This is not YouTube tutorials. This is, coursework. Um, these are programs such as, Photoshop, Lightroom, InDesign. I also learned Premiere. I learned After Effects. I learned Cinema 4D. So I started off doing everything. And so I also learned graphic design, which is where I started my first freelancing job and learning graphic design, learning magazine design and layouts. I started making some money um, for myself those times. My first job was actually at Main Event as a graphic designer, and as a graphic designer in a high pressure situation, I really got to learn what it was, you know, to work for clients, what the workflow was, how what were the expectations of the clients, what were the turnaround times, what it was like to work under pressure, and all of the things that came in from working a 9 to 5 in that scenario in the creative area, which is what I felt like was my position. So eventually I got tired of being behind the desk and working, and especially at Main Event where lots of different things are happening. I felt like I wanted to be more in the field. I wanted to be on the ground where the events were happening and capturing my own images instead of editing other people's images. Right. So my 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 next move was to leave Main Event, but I still have a great relationship with them. All the people that are there, I'm close with them up until now. I still do work for them. Um, but I wanted to be a photographer, and so I started my freelancing photography career at that point in time, and that was still 10 years ago, 2011, yeah, 9 years ago. And so freelancing for a couple of years, um, it became. I also just in photography now, I did everything. Um, things that I've done, I did events. I've been the official photographer for Reggae Sumfest, Jamaica Jazz and Blues, Rebel Salute, and Sting, and stage shows and concert photography used to be my thing. Um, but I never took it any further than that. I put it down. I did corporate events, I did sporting events. I've shot weddings, I've shot fashion, I've shot Miss Universe. Um, I shot food photography, product photography. I've done billboards. You've probably seen my work. I got the cover of the Yellow Pages. All all manners of different directions. I've been pulling myself
You may the
in
people,
oh
the man I
yeah.
read out the receipt. So when a person look on craft studio and look on the quality of work that craft studio craft, as I say craft
Hmm.
studio. When I look on
Yeah.
studio craft and look on the quality of work that studio craft is producing, it is not by mistake. It is because this person has put in a lot of work and basically own their craft. So that's why it names studio craft, you know. You don't know why
Yeah.
it names StudioCraft? Because this person realized that they have basically owned in the craft of basically headshot and say, yo, listen, we've been doing a lot of things. We are focused on this one thing. So let's get to moving from all of that and why you choose this niche to focus on. That's why you choose just headshot, so to speak.
All right. So this was a calculated move. So when I started StudioCraft, it was not about headshots. I started StudioCraft in 2017 in the summer. Um, it became a headshots business in January 2018. In that time, that 6 months, I started off thinking I was going to be in advertising and marketing. I was going to take my advertising and marketing clients and I was going to go solo. I was going to start working for myself because StudioCraft is just me. It's one person. It's been a one person shop, it's a company of one. Um, and so I thought I was going to do advertising and marketing, leveraging all of these years, all of this experience in all of these different fields and do commercial photography because that's actually the full name. StudioCraft Commercial Imaging is the full name of the business. Um, but that wasn't working out for a number of reasons. And it was a book that I had read called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport that really gave me the criteria for honing down what career, what type of business I wanted to build and how I wanted it to look and asking the right questions and picking the right criteria and saying, does this work? Does this fit the framework? All right, no, this not working. Short term, this might work, but long term, this might not work. And, short term, this might not make any sense. So all of these years, all of these contacts, all of these relationships, all of this networking, all of this body of work that I've created, I was basically deciding I'm going to step away from this in terms of all the career capital, and I'm going to focus on headshots. And at the time, I remember even my mom saying, I don't get it, I don't understand. Why are you doing this? You know, how can this be what you're going to do? Because, at that time, my whole portfolio was probably, 9, 10 people. But those 9 or 10 people, I saw those headshots over and over again in the media. I saw what pictures people used to be posting and how they used to represent themselves online when they were promoting their small business and how, the response to those old photos were. And then I saw the change with these new photos because in marketing, you're also in public relations and you meet a lot of people who are trying to get their ideas and opinions out there. They're trying to be known as an expert in their area. And part of it in being in the media and how you're perceived is how you present yourself, right? The same way with the fancy product photography in order to sell products, or you have an event and you take beautiful pictures of that event. You really want to present yourself as if you're presenting a product for sale. And so I realized that that work was very meaningful to me. Um, and it gave me an opportunity to work directly with my clients, which is something that I really enjoyed. I used to work through a lot of agencies, and the workflow and the cash flow with working with agencies is a lot different and a lot slower. So you are not working directly with the client, you are working through an agency, and then the agency has creative control over the project, and then you are there to execute. You're as a supplier. And what really I wanted to do was do things exactly how I wanted to do them. So the way that I shoot, how I shoot, what equipment I use, when I shoot, where I shoot, all of the things related to how I shoot my headshot. Experimented, I've tried and tested. I have muscle memory for doing it exactly how I want to do it. And if you don't like how my headshots look, you can find somebody who shoots them in a different style, because that's how I like to shoot my headshots. So I have creative control, and I have I find meaning in the work, and also I'm autonomous. So I can get to set my schedule, I can set my calendar on my website where you can tell where when it's available, what time. You can pick your time, you can book it. If I want, next Thursday to be free, I take it off the calendar and I have that time to myself. So I can control my time, I control my cash flow, because I'm doing a lot more one-on-one business. I'm not waiting on big companies and corporate clients to pay 30 days later, 60 days later. I am, working with clients directly, and I'm doing work that I love. So those were the criteria um, that helped me to hone in on headshots.
People, people. Hold on. More open and listening, you know. Me see somebody writing in the comments. Who that? Guru? You know what I mean? So, me open and listen. That StudioCraft is calculated. This is somebody who sit down and think about it, because believe it or not, Adrian, I'm a brethren. We are come from far, probably like about 15 years.
Yeah.
About 15 years. Good while now, me know Adrian. You know? And we basically always communicate. A couple books when I read, I basically Adrian say, yo, check this out in Shango. You know what I mean? So this brother very, very calculated in a how him basically put together StudioCraft. Him know that, yo, listen, me not necessarily want to wait for no one bag of corporate companies, and no one bag of agencies, Me want basically get directly to the client, deal with the client straightforward, and that allows me to collect my money when me want, how me want. Not wait for 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, which, you know what I mean, that sometimes can be a strain, depends on what you want to do. So the people them really listen. The man just give out 500 gems, for an entrepreneur who want to basically organize himself. The man give out 500 gems a while ago. Now, the next thing I'm want to ask you, can you explain a whole heap of things? Explain a whole heap of things. The next thing I'm really want to ask you about, as it relates to you creating the way you create and being a master, so to speak, at headshots and controlling all of this aspect. Like when it comes to identifying your avatar, so to speak. How did you go about identifying who or what form your avatar come in, and how do you create your marketing, so to speak directly to these people?
Well, the marketing now is a combination of my experience with the graphic design, my website design, things that I used to do as client work, but now only do for myself. I really wanted this feel for my marketing to be very sophisticated. I wanted it to be very focused on the people. I wanted the content. I didn't want too much embellishment, too much excitement, because I wanted to feel Like even the color, the navy blue, as a color of, a business suit. I wanted to get those connections there. Um, the way that I put the marketing together is through another book now, which is Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand. You have to understand things from the customer's perspective. So now the customer doesn't know that they have a problem until you tell them what the problem is, and then show them what life would look like on the other side of that problem, right? So they didn't know that one of the limiting factors of their their business was that how they appear in the media, people are not impressed, people are not remarking on them, right? This is why I wanted to, especially for people who I knew were doing great work, really create a look for them that was really special, that was somebody would catch their eye, take notice, give them their attention. um, Looking at it from the customer's perspective, understanding the problems, you have to understand three different levels of problems for them. One is a problem on the surface, which is one that you are solving, right? So how they look in the media, um, whether it is, digital marketing, traditional media, brochures, business cards, anything like that, anywhere where they're going to be the face of their brand. A second level of problem is how they feel by that problem not being solved. So the second layer of problem is the fact that they might feel ashamed, they might feel less confident, they might feel insecure, they might feel like they're not ready, they might feel imposter syndrome. A lot of people don't feel like they are as good as they are until you put them in front of the camera, you give them the pictures, they take the pictures, they put it up, and then they see all of the reaction and they say, oh, okay, this is a real thing, this is really me, this is what reality is, right? But they think that um, they only exist at the level where they are now, and they don't really see their potential like other people see them. I tend to see the potential in people, and I can see where they'll be getting big, and that's why I say it's meaningful to me to really try and reach for that. And then the third level of problem is just, is a glow is a you how you put this? It's a philosophical problem. It's a good versus evil kind of problem. It's an injustice, and it's really that the problem is, we judge a book by its cover, right? Even though we pretend that we don't, or we might not think that it matters, the real problem is that we do. And so if you want to ignore it, you're going to come out as a disadvantage, because whether or not you acknowledge it, it's the truth, right? We get a lot about somebody's character just by implying the look on their face and the expressions on their face, right? If it is that they are frowning, if it is that they are scowling or sad, or we imply that they are mean, that they are shy, that they are standoffish, if they are smiling, if they are, we assume that they're welcoming, they're approachable, they're fun. We connect all of these things instantly in our brains, and because that is the case, I say that that is another level that I need to talk about and address with the clients and put it in the marketing, that it's a competitive advantage. When I talk about, when you go to my website and you see the different things that I'm talking about, you have to have the actual look, you have to have um, the fact that it is going to be a value to the customer that's actually going to hit their bottom line, right? And then, and the next part of the marketing is you have to come across as a guide, right? So you have to let them know that you have the authority to solve their problem, and you have to show that you actually care about solving their problem, or else they're not going to listen to your plan. You also have to have a plan. So if you are providing a service, but when people come to your website, your contact page just says name, email, message, doesn't give them any instructions, doesn't lay out a way of doing business with you, what information you need, what the expectations are. You know, people are not going to feel comfortable following you. So that's a part of the marketing, because it gets them further down the sales funnel by at least understanding what the steps are, right? And so the way that I've implemented it is that I have three different layers of in terms of the tactics now. So my Instagram page, as you showed off before, is all about curiosity. All it does is show the end results. It shows the happy clients. It shows the results of the work, um, on the happy ending side, and people want to, and then the captions talk about the stories of the people and showcase, you know, why it is that I'm featuring them and what the service is doing for them. But yeah, so that's what Instagram is for. Instagram is not for selling. Instagram is not for giving a whole heap of information. Instagram is just for getting people familiar. It's brand awareness, right? The next level is the website. The website is where all the enlightenment and all the instructions and all of the education about the business takes place. So when you go to the website now, that's where you have the details about the prices, about the packages, about the options, what is included, what is not included, what are the schedules like. All of those things are on the website. And so that is separate and apart from the Instagram. And then the website has a call to action, which is trying to get you to commit to the action of booking the headshot. And that is done on my scheduling system. My scheduling system is fully configured. It's synced with my calendar, and it has email reminders. It has text message reminders. It does all of those things in order to lay out the plan, remind the client that, you know, reassure them that everything is in place. You don't know me. You've never met me, but you've got onto this website after coming from Instagram. You get more, and all the questions in your head, they're slowly being answered. And by the time you reach that commitment stage, you are now comfortable with parting with your money because the prices are there. You know how much it costs. You've determined that it's valuable enough to you. And then you can make your purchase.
Boy, look, let me ask you, man. If the youth is not a master, that's what the person that say guru. No? Like, all right. I always talk to Adrian about, like, you know what I mean, business. We're always having conversation about business.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the information where Adrian just shared a while ago is a lot of the information when he shared me. Adrian always I say, yo, Shango, check out this book. You know what I mean? Building a story brand. Check out this book. Check out that book. Actually, UBQT is kind of from all of these books basically where Adrian I talk about. You know what I mean? Even the marketing and even how me I try to position myself, so to speak, in the industry. And this brother, like, you know what I mean, a whole heap of respect and a whole heap of ratings, because he have a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to even how to position yourself and market your business and stuff like that. And we always have conversation. Like, sometimes he doesn't leave my yard and just say, yo, Adrian, you know, I can look for you, and just for sit down and talk to him, because every time we basically
Run
have a
some ideas.
conversation,
Yeah.
we always bounce ideas off of each other. We always basically explore things, and I talk about new stuff and books where I read and stuff like that. And I want persons to understand how important it is to actually read. Because if you're not listening, you know, this brother and call out one book, So Good They Cannot Ignore You. That's a book.
Yeah.
Them read and get information from it and use it in business. If you just talk about building a story brand, that's a next book. So it's so important to be reading these books and then pull from these book information that you can use in your business to help propel your business forward. And as I say, yo, the information vast. All right now. So we're going to cover all of that. Let's talk about the next stage, because what I realize is that with businesses or business, you have different level. Because I realized that the website changed. So the website went one way before, and now it's a different way. It's almost like an evolution of StudioCraft. Explain to me why it's basically the same concept, but it's a next level of the concept. It's like dig deeper into basically this headshot business. Explain to me why this change and why you just dig deeper and go deeper as opposed to going wide like where a lot of photographers tend to do. You just go deeper in a headshot, so to speak.
Right. So you as you've noticed, there used to be a lot more sections on my website. I used to do a lot more lifestyle photos, and I have a whole portfolio for that. I took that page down a couple weeks ago. I used to have um, I used to have some event photos and all kind of different things on it. But as I have become more and more, um, the longer I do this, the narrower my focus has gotten, and the stronger the business has gotten. So it's all due to business reasons and business sense why I get a narrow and narrow business. The 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 reason why you want to be a specialist is because it gives you a reputation. It gives you something to put your flag down on. And when you put your flag down on something, people will take notice because you means that you stand for something. And if you don't perform well after you've staked your claim on it, then your reputation is at stake, right? If I take bad headshots for somebody, it is much more impactful and devastating on my career rather than another photographer where headshots is just one of 6 different things that he does, right? And because I um I'm focused on headshots and I'm not focused on trying to expand into different areas adjacent to headshots, I can keep the cost of my equipment in check because I know photographers, media people, creatives are always spending money on equipment, and creative professional equipment is very expensive. But by knowing exactly the scenarios and the situations that I'm shooting, I can tailor how I shoot, what I shoot with to exactly what I need and no more. For the last 2 years, I've shot everything that I've done with 2 lenses, 2 prime lenses, right? Um, every headshot I've taken with the exact same lens. And so you realize the cost efficiency. I haven't spent any money on lenses. I have the same camera. I have the same light that I've had for 2 years. I've had the same softbox. Um, I've had different things, and I've only because I'm experimenting with trying to improve. Because improvement is the name of the game. You have to keep pushing forward. Once you know where your flag is, you have to keep pushing forward to make sure nobody comes in on your territory and try to outshine you. But the next thing is it makes you by doing that you can create a lot more profit for yourself because you keep your costs low. And profit is really where you want to get as a small business. You want to define the size and scope of what you're doing. You don't want to just be doing everything for anybody. Anybody that comes to you, you have to validate them as a client. It's not the customer is always right service kind of mindset. It's a expert professional service mindset. So professional services, doctors, lawyers, architects, the customer doesn't dictate how the expert, the professional does their job. They come to a specialist for a reason, right? And in any business, if you look broadly, the specialist makes more than the generalist. It's not just a creative industry problem, right? The generalist makes less than the specialist doctor. The specialist lawyer makes more than the lawyer that tries to dabble in different things. Anybody that will bring a case to him. So it is very important to narrow your focus because if you look at examples, take Starbucks. Starbucks, which sells coffee, and I say, yeah, that's easy. Starbucks is coffee. But while Starbucks was coming up, they expanded into a restaurant and tried to take on Subway. They started selling sandwiches. They started selling all kinds of different juices and all kinds of different things. And what happened to them? The brand got diluted. People stopped understanding what the experience they were supposed to expect. It watered them down because they were trying to do too many different things and couldn't be excellent at all of them. And then, smartly they gave up on all of that and went back to just selling coffee, right? I it makes business decisions very clear. When you're focused, it makes you know how to hire because you figured out the systems and your organizational chart and who needs to be doing what, and you can define the roles of what everybody does very clearly. You can take on um, risk because you have calculated it based on what the demands of your clients are, because you put out to your clients that these are the problems that you're solving, this is the scope that you're working within, and if it is that you need to move in any different direction, you actually have leverage. So from specializing in one thing, people will assume that you're also good in other things. But if you put it out there that you're good at everything, nobody's going to believe you. It's very counterintuitive, right? So because I'm so specialized in headshots, people come to me even this week and say, "Hey, can you shoot a wedding for me? I know you're a great photographer, XYZ. I want you to shoot some family photos for me. I want you to go down and shoot some lifestyle photos for me down by the beach." I'm like, "No, I don't do that." Right? And I can say no, and people will understand why I say no, because I can say, StudioCraft, this brand is all about one thing, and I'm only related to that one thing. So people who knew me before StudioCraft knew that I could shoot everything, right? Because that's what I was doing. But it really did not create a business with a lifestyle that I could work with. And now I have a lot more control over the business. I have a lot more control over my free time. And because of those things, I am overall happier. I'm doing more meaningful work. And for any other work that comes to me, I know a lot of other great photographers. I can recommend them. I can point people in directions that, and give good recommendations for other photographers, because for those photographers that do the same thing and specialize and put their name and their reputation on the line for something and do great work at it, making good recommendations looks good on you as well as on them. And, I believe that everybody should be moving in that direction where they, they, once they come out of the phase where they're exploring their options, they should eventually settle down if they're going to make a business out of it. If they're going to do it as a hobby, they can do whatever they want, right? But if you're going to do a business is a set of problems that you solve for your clients, and that you have to create value for those clients over and over and over. If you have a restaurant, there's no restaurant that just cooks, where the chef just cooks whatever they feel like cooking, whatever recipe they picked up 2 3 days ago, whatever they've only cooked 1 or 2 times. They build a menu and they cook it over and over and over and over. So as soon as you go to that menu or a customer comes in, they see what they want. The chef knows exactly how to cook it. They can cook it the same way every single time. The whole experience of the restaurant is calculated and defined. And so it is no different for somebody in photography or video or, writing or performing. It is that you need to be a master of your craft. You need to put in the work. You have to earn it. Just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean you're going to automatically, be granted an opportunity. You have to, fight for your position. But at the end of the day, if you put all the pieces together correctly, you will end up in a career that you're very happy in.
Impressive, 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 impressive. Like, I swear, like, this conversation probably not gonna just be an hour. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
the
fine.
wealth of information that Adrian have put out, and what the people that listen, like, it's there's a reason why you specialize, as him say. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
specialize because when you're a specialist, people will pay you more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're all over the place, even the other day, I talked to a guy, and I show him say, "Yo, specialize." Even the other day when we talked to one of our brethren, then we say, "Yo,
Yeah.
specialize, focus
And
on
he's
just
taking
this
our
one
advice.
area."
Yeah.
And my sister him
And
have
it's
new
working out
logo
for
and
him.
all them thing there. I say, "Yeah."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Me even hit him up and I say, "Yo, I gotta take my family thing, so." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to
Yeah.
support each other as a creative. You know what I mean? We have to support each other, and we have to talk, we have to come amongst each other and reason and help each other to grow our business. And just like me, right now is live streaming, and
Yeah.
is more remote live streaming than event live streaming. So me
Yeah.
as try to specialize for control your stuff from a different location while you are anywhere around the world. So
Mm-hmm.
specializing is very important, and the average Jamaican who believe that he must try to catch every bird where fly, him not catch no bird
Mm-hmm.
because the bird them fly in a different direction. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it is a thing where more the people them are listen, and this are the main reason for this show, is to bring people like Adrian on to talk about how him basically corner a market, corner a niche in a Jamaica and say, yo, a headshot me a focus pan. So when a man call me about wedding, him call me about lifestyle, him call me about event, me no want none of that. I am not interested. Go and find this person. No matter what the money is, I am not
Yeah.
interested. That is not my
Yeah.
brand. That is not my area. I just want to focus on headshot, which allows me to control all these aspects. All right, you want me to shoot wedding now? Me have to get to 70 to 200. What me I do with 70 to 200? Me not do that.
Yeah. Like if you have equipment put down in a closet, it's a waste of money if you're not
Exactly.
using it every single day.
So
And
for maximize your potential with what you have and understanding how to use all the equipment then we have at a certain level, you have to specialize. Have to.
and let me talk because there are two different ways of specializing. There are two different ways you can do it. So it's two different strategies. One is, you try to become the best in the world, or the best in the game, or the best in your market, the best outright at one single thing. And that is, you know, the 10,000 hours you put in the work, and the benefits for the person that comes in first exponentially higher than the benefits for the second and third place people, right? So if you get the number one in a marketplace, you reap a lot of rewards. But it's very hard to be that kind of winner in a market, and there are not as many of them. There's not that much opportunity. There's a lot of competition for those kind of for that kind of specializing. So what you want, there's a second option, which is to combine two unlikely sets of skills in a way that has never been done before. So that's innovation and that's differentiation, right? If you make, if you start off in one area in your career and you build up career capital in that section, and then you say, you're going to make a switch, but then you realize that nobody is doing something that you find very obvious from your last career, and you can bring skills towards it that nobody would have come up because you're coming up through a different career path. You can become another kind of specialist. You can become irreplaceable because you have skills and combinations of skills that are very rare and very valuable, right? And you can put that to work in a career path that you create for yourself. And a lot of creative people do that. That's how a lot of entrepreneurial businesses get started, where you find yourself where you are the only person that can solve the problem, right? Because a lot of people, if the business was there, that was everything that they wanted, they would go work for that business, right? So those are two different ways of thinking about specializing, and I really think that it should be more on the top of mind of people, rather than what more can I get into, what different things can I do, how do I add more things to my portfolio, put more things on my plate, because that's not a winning strategy.
Winning strategy. Winning strategy. You the last thing him say, winning strategy. So you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a person who's trying to build or create a certain type of business, you have to have a strategy. You have to have
Yeah.
basically a plan what you're trying to accomplish. And if you have a plan what you're trying to accomplish and you have a strategy, you can look upon your strategy and realize, so I need to shift, or I need to do all these things to make sure, say, yo, I fit in the marketplace. And
Mm-hmm.
this information is so important for a lot of entrepreneurs who are come up. And the reason why he's speaking about you know what I mean, blending, so to speak, like a person who is a lawyer and then them blending for deal with law for instance entrepreneurs. So them just focusing on entrepreneurs. So them I bring them lawyer skill and them I focus solely on entrepreneur when I try build for them thing. Them kind of
Mm-hmm.
have a specific way how them I do the thing, so them can navigate the law that you need just for how entrepreneurial business works. So that is the level of specification that you as a business owner and entrepreneur want to be in. We know a whole heap of people who want to try and do 500 product, but you can't start with 500 product. You want to start
Yeah.
with one product, build a reputation about that. All right, think about Amazon. Amazon start with books, and now
Yeah.
Amazon have everything. So Amazon, Jeff Bowser, as we call him amongst me and Adrian, Jeff Bowser, he basically owns the castle right now. He owns the castle. So Jeff Bowser started out with books. Books only. And the man say, yo, yeah, you are a books me a
Yeah,
focus on.
fam.
And then after that, he realize say him can expand into other markets and dominate them.
Yeah,
Talk
one by one, piece by piece.
exactly. So is
Mm-hmm.
is that level a specific? If Jeff Bezos decide say you want to start everything one time, nobody wouldn't pay attention to him. Him couldn't dominate
Yeah.
where him dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Him say books
Wouldn't
and
work.
then start murder all the bookstores them, because the bookstores them cannot. And then he was so specialized with the type of books that he started with. He started with books where you can't really get into the bookstore. Is a
Mm-hmm.
man of them book in a theme garage, so to speak, and you can buy it through Amazon. That book you can't get it in a bookstore, and then that just basically, boy, I mean, I don't know. When I look and
It's
that
a
yo
snow. It's the snowball effect.
snowball,
And the snowball,
snowball,
yeah, it starts
snowball,
off small and then rolls down the hill and gets bigger
rolls,
and
rolls,
bigger
rolls.
and
So
bigger.
and as I said, when I try to talk to other entrepreneurs, personal reason, I always tell them say, yo, focus on one thing, build that out, and then you probably can try some other things. So you can have all the skills, but you just need to focus on one. Focus on the one where give you the most pleasure, the one where give you the most joy, so to speak. Like what Adrian say, him love what him do. So because him
Yeah.
love what him do, even when him interact with him clients them, him interact in a certain way. The other day, me I talk to one of your client them, me and her buck up in our mastermind, and she say, you know what I mean? She never knows how you are do it on a level, but even how you interact with people in a local session is very important. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very important. I mean, I say, see there, because the man realize, yo, it's an experience. It's not
Yep.
just a headshot. It's a whole experience you create. And that experience now need to reach out to the people themselves. When one person come, they become a referral. So them go and tell them friends, say, oh, link StudioCraft. And a friend they tell a friend they say link StudioCraft. And that cause all of this, all of this what we are see pan the man basically Instagram page, All of this what we are see pan the man Instagram page basically. And that cause all of this, Look there, the man have every face, every face where you can think about. The man basically dominate the space. When I say dominate, I mean like proper domination. Look on this. Look there, watch it. Look on the amount of people. This is basically Jamaica we are look on. Because Jamaica not that big, So all of the professional people them, the man capture them. So this one of the people them for understand.
Oh, also, those that you're looking on right now, um, those are all done for free. That big grid, because I also believe that you should either work for free or for full price.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
You will talk about pricing. We're talking about that winning. So having a winning brand, what that is going to give you is two things. You want to define success by having a competitive advantage where wherever you choose to compete, you're winning more often, and you maintain a higher price than your competition. So you win more often and make more money. That's the ideal goal that you want to make, right? Um, in order to get there, if you are starting out, if you have a product that nobody knows about, if you have confidence in your product to just give away free samples, to give it away, understanding that, if it is as good as you say it is, people have no, they've given up none of their own money. They've risked nothing to try it, and they can make their own opinion, right? You go back to referrals now. All of those hundreds of people that I've given free headshots for will now tell a friend, If somebody asks them where they got that headshot from, they will have my business card. I will have their email in a mailing list, and I'll have connections with that person that I can follow up with in the future, right? So working for free, giving away a product for free is a marketing expense technically, but it is a powerful one because it shows that you have enough confidence in your product to give it away. And for the people who resonate with the product that you give away, for who find value in it, they will come back to you. And what you're trying to attract is people who value the work that you do. If they don't value it, and they're not going to be a customer, then it's neither here nor there, right? And so if it is that you want to get paid for the work now, you have to decide, one, what is your minimum level of engagement? So what is the price that's going to keep you in business, right? And then you have to also determine what the value is to the client that you are working for. Because if it is that the client that you're working for is if you are creating value by doing what you're doing, if you are selling a product, if you are providing a service, if you are reducing risk for a client, if you are a lawyer, if you are, reducing injury or removing pain, if you're a doctor or whatever, if you are providing this service, you need to charge for the value that you are giving the customer, and then you need to take a percentage off of that. So if it is, and every time you're going to discount that price that you set, if you set that price fairly, every time you discount that price, you are harming your own value proposition and your reputation for your brand. Because if you say that the price is $100 and somebody comes to you and it's $50, you give them because it's a discount, then the price was never $100. The price is $100 if the price is $100. You know what I'm saying? If you charging $50 and you say, oh, it's just this one time, oh, it's just to get them in the door, you've already worsened your negotiating position. You've given them the power and the leverage in the sale, where they now can beg the same discount in the future. And when they recommend people, they're going to say, I know this person who can get it for a cheap price, right? So maintaining your price integrity is very important. I also don't believe in charging per hour for work in the creative industry, which is a very common practice and which is very counterproductive and losing a whole heap of people money and causing them a whole heap of frustration.
Yeah, may I say, this show cannot last just for 1 hour. So
Oh, the show?
when Instagram cut me
Yeah.
off, we
Yeah.
actually gonna go back on for Instagram because the wealth, as I said, the information where Adrian I give right now, I want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure so we have this information for share it on the YouTube. So when the people them discover this show, because when I'm doing this show, I could care less about how many persons are watching it live. I am more about the information and the value that I basically get from the guests. So when it's shared on YouTube, somebody can find it and get the information. Whether them find it now or them find it 10 years from now or wherever them find it. A Jamaican or somebody in the Caribbean or, you know what I mean, can find it and get this information and say, yo, a valuable information this, and this is what we basically utilize for capture this. Yeah, the man I said discount thing not really work. It not really work. You know what I mean? And if you confident in your product, you not have to give nobody a discount. This is the price and this is the price. It's either you want it or you don't want it. You know what I mean? Sometimes me even have that challenge with even what me I try to do. Like people come and I'm like, I am delivering a service. This is the quality of product that I do. But I have to go longer than 1 hour because the wealth of information the agent I give in and I talk about, we have to basically try and capture this information and share it with other people so persons can understand how you create a winning business. And we're not talking about creating a flops business. We are talking about creating a business where get recognized by people who don't even know. They don't even know says StudioCraft is one person. When persons come to StudioCraft and them realize, oh, say, is this guy, them probably think StudioCraft, based on the reputation, is this mega company, so to speak. You know what I mean? Big studio with one bag of setup and one bag of thing. And when them look for the man set up on the space, the setup on the space work for what he's trying to do. He's not interested in spending $100 million to try and impress people. Having the necessary equipment to basically do the necessary job. And then profit. So even though we talk about money on the surface level, let's talk about profit first. And the reason why profit first is so important in terms of running a business.
Well, before we even get into profit first, I want to just talk about pricing and pricing strategy in general first. So, like what I just said a while ago is that I don't believe in hourly billing. I don't believe in hourly pricing, right? Hourly rates are not prices. And if you come to somebody for a service and they give you a rate, you can't make a decision on the value of it because you don't know how long it's going to take. And it puts you and the service provider at odds because the longer the service provider takes, the more money they make. You may want the service to be done in as little time as possible. So you save as much money as possible, right? So for any job that is being done at an hourly rate like that, point blank is just going to put you and your client at odds. It is going to also be very hard for you to justify it because you can't, if you are just looking at, if your client is only looking at hours, you're not looking at the value that you are creating. They're not looking at your innovation. They're not looking at your differentiating features. They're not looking at anything else that you bring to the table. They're just looking at one number, and that one number is not a part of the value equation. Time is only a constraint. The number of hours that it takes to do something is only a factor in that it has to take a certain amount of time, right? When you want to create a value proposition for somebody, you are saying that you are going to deliver X during a certain amount of time for a certain price, right? You can't forget that you are delivering X and think about just the time part of it. And you have to understand what that value is that you are delivering for the client. It is not how nice your gear is, because clients don't care about what gear you use. And if they do care, then that is a different calculation and a separate point. But most of the time, what laptop you use, what kind of camera you use, what type of studio you work in, what type of office, your client doesn't care about that. The client only cares about the value and what's in it for them, right? And what value you can create for them. What savings can you bring to them? What losses can you mitigate for them? What peace of mind can you bring them? How impressive they're going to be at the end of the session. All of those things are the value that you're bringing, and that's all the customer is going to care about. They don't care how long it takes you to do. If you are an artisan and you are making things, if it takes you 20 seconds to make something or 200 hours to make it, at the end of the day, it only matters if it looks nice hung up in the person's living room, right? The story behind how it got the significance of why you charge the money that you charge for it is also going to come into play, but that also comes into the intangible value. And and thinking that by buying better equipment and fancier office, all of these things, then you are then obligated, or you have now been given permission to charge more because you have now invested in better equipment. Doesn't equate on the customer side. If you are now creating better work, then that is a different calculation, right? So the next thing with hourly billing is that you can't do any of the other more sophisticated pricing strategies. One of the most sophisticated, or well, not most sophisticated, but one of the basic ones is just offering options, right? You have good, better, best. And the pricing psychology between offering options means that instead of comparing between you and another person, they're comparing between the three things that you offer. You give them a choice, they have to make one, right? They're going to decide either, they're usually going to choose the middle one.
But at certain times, you, depending on how you emphasize the value on the low end or the value on the high end, you give them the tools that they need in order to make a decision, right? So, hello? Are you hearing me though? Okay. All right. Yeah, so you give them the tools to make that decision. And just like buying a combo at a restaurant, you look at the individual prices of those items and you realize that they are more expensive individually than in the packages, right? And also is another cue for the value of what you are getting in those packages. I really think that, instead of thinking of the services that you offer as just open-ended, contact me if you want photography services, video services, and then we'll discuss, and then we'll come up with a price at the end of it. Creatives need to be upfront with what they offer and package it in a certain way. If it is that you do video, if you do music videos, if you do interviews, if you're working for sports, whatever it is, if you say you're doing corporate interviews, right, you have packages for good, better, best. And so you as a creative then know what level of equipment do you need for each one of these things, what is involved. And then you can now make a case to the client of why which one costs what price, right? And you can have that value conversation upfront instead of just saying, if it's a bigger production, it's going to take more time, and because it takes more time and we use more expensive equipment, it's going to cost more money. Customers they don't feel like they're a part of the conversation in that respect, right? So yeah.
What may I hear from you is that your pricing strategy, you have to work that out well, because me I listen to you and everything, and me kind of try to rock my brain even for my pricing strategy, because oftentimes events that I do
Yeah.
basically fit in a certain framework, so it fit in
Yeah.
a lot of time. Like, yo, the event could be a 1 hour, the event could be a 3 hour, the event could be a 4 hour. Now, oftentimes I tend to value not just the time, but the amount of equipment, or so to speak, I use, because it can be a 2 camera shoot, it can be a 3 camera shoot, it can have drone in it, it can have wire cam in it can have sliding cam in it. Now, I am
Right.
trying
But
to have the conversation with the client to try and find out what they need over the period of time. So time is a factor in when me I try to do, so to speak. So sometimes
yeah.
that's the reason why we have a layout for time, but that is not the deciding factor of the final price. You have options that they have to
Yeah.
choose from. How that
Just
work
like
though?
just like you said, you're charging for whether it's 1 camera, 2 camera, drone shot. How complicated is the execution? So in that case, it's more of a customized service instead of a productized service or packaged or option service. You're doing a custom thing for them, but you start off at a basis where you have your minimum level of engagement, which is this package, and you know the outcome of this package, you can show examples on your website saying, for this entry level package, this is what you get. For this expert package, this is what you get. If you want something in between, we can work out something custom. If you want something more than the big one, we can work out something custom. But it grounds the value and the numbers in something other than time. It grounds it in the outcome. It grounds it in a conversation of value and what they get out of it rather than what you are putting into it.
Okay. Come here, try to understand if the timing system that I have on my website, because I have 1 hour and I have 2 hour and I have 4 hours, but each of these different time have like 1 hour would have like 1 camera, 2 camera with basically this setup would basically be in the 1 hour limited to 2 persons, 2 lower thirds, graphics to fit your show, and then in the 2 hour now you have for instance it limited to 4 persons. You know what I mean? You have graphics for match the whole thing. You know, even though it's 2 hour, if you want a 4 person event for going a 1 hour, you'd have to pay that price, because that are the one where basically have the 4 persons, so to speak. So if you want to do a 1 hour show, even though that's a 2 hour, you still would have to pay the price for that, because of the limitation of basically this 1 hour show, so to speak, would only have 2 persons, or this package, the package for 2 persons, I have it kind of a 1 hour, so to speak. So if a person wants to do a 2 hour show for 2 persons, I would have to negotiate what we choose for that. So it as I said, make it more flexible, so to speak, in terms of the negotiation and how you and the client work it out. You have to do a lot of negotiation as it relates to how the client get the information. But you want the information to be clear on the website, so a person come on the website and like, oh, so it's $200 for the 2 person show, is $300 for the 4 person show, is $800 if you want to go up to 8 persons. So that clear, even though there's time there, if they want to go 8 persons and it's just 1 hour, them still have to pay the $800, because it's 8 persons. It's not just a time determining what the price is. It's really the amount of persons determining what the price is. So it's kind of a way of a structure your thing, so that time not necessarily is the deciding factor on what the person basically value, or them value what you're producing.
Right. So what if you had said that your live streaming services was 10 grand an hour, and it was just an hourly rate and that was it? That would not give you any room to control the scope of your production, right? Because that's just one number and time, right? So it doesn't matter if, like, for me doing photography, for you doing production, you want to make up these variables and then base how you negotiate with clients based on the variables, and keep it within a scope that that you can control. One of the things that used to happen to me with agencies is that they would come to you with a scope, and they would come to you with a concept, and it would just be way out of my control. And in order to execute the job, I would have to spend all of the money that I'd make from the job buying new equipment just to get the job done.
That is no sense.
Right? The scope of that, you're not controlling for scope or anything like that in that scenario, right? So if you want to have a and like I said, this is reflected in every other kind of business. If you want, a restaurant, you don't just say, I want sides that are not. You don't ask for things that are not.
You don't show up at the restaurant and say, okay, so I realize that you guys don't have cheesecake, but here what? I want cheesecake. I want cheesecake for my dessert. I don't care what no one have. I just want cheesecake. Right,
and you tell the chef, and the chef have to go to the supermarket and buy ingredients and things that them don't already have, and that is not how you do business.
So what you're saying is basically you need to create your business in such a way that the scope of the business you have 100% control, and that is one of the things where we lack, so to speak, in the creative industry. we don't necessarily have the full control of. May I press my button? Oh, hold on. We don't necessarily have the full control of all of the basically the scope, so to speak, of the entire thing, and that is what trip we up most times
Yeah,
as creatives.
because you promise the client that you can do anything for them. You say all full service operation, anything that you need, we can do for you. And then they come with all these requests, and then you get the request, and then you figure it out for the first time in order to do it for them. And that gives you very little leverage to charge a premium. And if they were to take that same request to somebody else, it would be much easier for them to find a substitute because you don't have any track record of or reputation for doing that service, right? So it puts you in a very weak negotiating position.
Yeah, man. Like as I say, even right now, like when it comes to negotiation with people, negotiation word that kind of creates for me, negotiating with people,
Yeah.
like I try to do as little as possible negotiation and with persons, like if I send you a price, um that is what I charge. Like that is the value that I put on my thing. So when we're trying to make a price, so to speak, when we're trying to make up a price for something, that is when we can basically negotiate whether or not you want this part or you want that part. But once we come to an agreement as to what you want, what service that I offer that you want, I already have a price for it, and this is the price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, because I'm trying to build a business, I tend to, you know what I mean, be a little bit more lenient, especially, when you deal with corporate versus deal with an individual. You kind of almost have almost like a different price, but a price will work for both. But I realize that I kind of changing from that because
Well, no,
I am.
but that is the right way to do it. You should the correct term is price discrimination, but that don't sound right. What price discrimination means that you're going to charge the Fortune 500 executive different than the college student, right? That you're going to give an education discount and you're going to charge a higher licensing fee to the big company. You charge the price is based on the customer. If you could price each one of your customers individually and in a perfectly optimal way, right? That would be the best way to do business, but that's very time consuming. So we set up these prices on our menus as averages of what the approximate value that the average customer is going to get from the product. But if it is that you see somebody and you know that they don't have the money, but they're going to, okay, perfect example, because it's not even about money. Because like I say, you work for free or you work for full price, right? Um, I've done headshots for people for free. And actually, when I started off, I was begging people, can I do a free headshot for you? Because I know of the reputation that they have, the audience that they have, the attention that they get, the circles that they travel in. I wanted my headshots to be associated, to be exposed to those people, right? And so I I did the first set of headshots for free, but also I give discounts to anybody that person brings to me, right? Because I want to make sure that cohort of people is very taken care of, right? And same thing with returning clients. I give discounts to returning clients. That's a different way to say, you know, you set up a different price for different people. Um, you could probably even if it is that there's a client that you actually don't even want to work with, you set a higher price to make it more worth it for you to do the work because it's more headache and more stress,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. But
Right?
how do
I've
you? Because one of the questions I want to ask with that is that how do you do that when you have a pricing system that is online? Cause we can understand when you don't have a pricing system. Like your system is online, my system will be online shortly.
Yeah.
So a person
Yeah.
go on the
So it's
website,
different.
them see what this cost, see what that cost, see what that cost, see what the options them cost in terms of addition and adding stuff. How do you explain to
Yeah.
him, say, yo, you know, at a price that you have to go pay, but you see it say it costs this online. How do you do that?
So that custom price comes into effect when I do customized services. So when I work with big businesses and I'm doing headshots for 50 to 100, to 500 people, you create customized quotes in those specialized situations, right? And you might give somebody a discount based on just the volume. Like volume discounting is a standard thing in all manufacturing products and services, right? Wholesale, it's basically wholesale. You get a wholesale price, right? But if you are a consultant, if you are an agency, if you are any kind of independent professional and you are working on a commission or whatever, if it is that you are creating the contract based on a scope that you have to determine, you're doing it on the you are pricing each client or each project one by one. You can factor in those things. You can factor in those discounts. You can factor in those extra expenses and those extra headaches. You raise the creative fee, whatever it is, because you know what it is worth to you, right? So for the customized quotes, for the prices that are on the website, yeah, you're not going to touch those. Those are packages that are going to stay true to the prices that are there. But when you are customizing quotes, when you're doing special orders, you can build a package tailored for that particular client, and it should take into consideration whether or not they're a college student or a Fortune 500 executive.
All right, so is understanding as him say, you know, I mean, oh, you have a pricing. So technically, what we're talking about here is pricing strategy. Oh, you go
Actually,
about.
one thing I want, sorry to cut you. One thing I wanted to touch on, because I hear this out here, people talking about it, how they wish. They said that young people are coming into the industry and they're coming in with lower prices and it's ruining their business. And I really think that's, and they want to have a situation where they, you know, plan prices and agree upon prices between competitors and say that, services must not be less than a certain amount. And, if everybody just agreed to that price, then nobody could get a low ball price and companies would end up having to pay higher prices. And I don't believe that's a system that has any chance of working.
Yeah, because
um,
that is not how pricing works. You know, I mean,
that's not how
different people
competition
have
works.
different value. Is how value
Yeah,
work. A man have a different value. So based on his system of value, is how him have a value for him thing. Based on his reputation, how pricing work. Pricing, as far as I understand, is a lot of different components that you use to come up with what your value is. You know what
yeah,
I mean? A person who is basically just coming in the field of headshots, so to speak, cannot basically price like StudioCraft, because StudioCraft have a reputation. You know what I mean? You just come in a headshot. All right, so StudioCraft will call you up and like, oh sir, you know that this is the standard of pricing, and I really say it work. And I say it work.
right,
The man have to do fee, him have to build fee reputation and do it, or him do it until him get to a certain level. StudioCraft can dictate what pricing is. So that is what, when you hear
right,
somebody say that, that is what they're trying to say. Oh, we need to dictate what pricing is so we can get all the work.
right. So what that really says is that the people in that market, the professionals or the service providers in that market are undifferentiated. There's no difference between them. And your goal in creating a brand is to make it so that you are option one in the customer's mind, that there's no alternatives, that you are not seen as competition to anybody, right? That's the whole reason why you build a strong brand,
Yep.
right? If you are undifferentiated and people couldn't, if somebody calls you and you say no, they can just pick up the phone 10 seconds later and call somebody else, and you don't have any pricing power. You don't have any market power.
Yep.
And that market power is what's going to allow you to keep a higher price than your competition and still win more business, which I told you what is the goal of your business strategy.
Yep.
And so if it if it is that you are trying to if you are charging a lot of money just because you are the only game in town, and somebody comes and does something just like you for less money, and there's actually no difference, then you have a problem. And the difference doesn't actually have to be, you know, physically with the product, but if it is that the brand is perceived to have no advantages over the newcomer, or the startup, then this is a problem with your business, not a problem with prices.
You never build your brand have the equity, so to speak, in the space that
Yeah,
people will say, oh, all right, then this is the brand that we're working with, and we understand the value that they create, and we understand the level our work with, we understand the
yeah,
reliability of them. So if
or
like
even products. So take in photography, in lighting, you have Pro Photo,
yeah,
you have Ellen Crom, you have Broncolor, and then you have Godox,
yes,
right? Pro Photo and Broncolor sell lights for $2,000-$3,000. Godox sells lights with similar capabilities for $500, right? And so, but guess what? Pro Photo has a really big loyal following because they have a strong brand. But they're still in
yes,
business, and they're still innovating in areas where Godox has not reached or is not interested in reaching, because Godox is a mass market and Pro Photo is high end, right?
yeah,
Right. So even if you have competitors coming in on the low end, right, they're going to take market share. They might be growing the market, but they might not be taking market share from you if you have a strong brand. If Profoto never had the brand and did the marketing that they did, and Godox came in, Profoto would be dead.
yeah. But when you think
Simple
about
as that.
Profoto and Brown Color,
Yeah.
those two brands are competing. So why is it that Bronco not taking some what I call it now, market share from Pro Photo, so to speak? Because Pro Photo is like everybody, like once they at a certain level, people like, yo, a Pro Photo you have to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not necessarily that Pro Photo is the best light ever. It's just that the brand
Hmm.
reputation is just like an iPhone. You know what I mean? iPhone is probably not the best phone ever, but the brand reputation of an iPhone, people buy iPhone
Yeah.
every year a new iPhone come out.
Yeah. And they will stick with the brand in the good years and the bad years, right? So, and they will buy into the system. So people who are in a Profoto system are not going to just switch to another system, because that means replacing everything, right? And there's value in the whole system, not just the individual part. So
The
if one
ecosystem.
one yeah. So if
It seems like you break up. Yeah, so I was gonna say is it's a thing where uh hold on, let me switch to me. Yeah, it's a thing where it seemed like your bandwidth low or something. Oh, you're back. Your bandwidth got low a while ago.
all right,
Yeah, so we're back again.
all right, yeah. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to your internet just now, but kind of drop off. You're good now, man.
I Okay, just making sure I don't have nothing on the network. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we
So I
can
just wanted
continue
to
with the
touch on
pro
that.
photos and brand call, whereas
Yeah.
the market share, it seemed pro photo still
Well,
dominating. And as I say, oh,
well,
it's a brand. When you have a brand, we have an ecosystem. It's very difficult to come out of the ecosystem, like how Apple control the world. You know what I mean? Like, well, not the world, but our side of the world, so to speak. Is
yeah.
mainly the ecosystem.
Right. So I want to see creatives that are complaining about, you know, competition, differentiate themselves, set themselves up that they have no competition, that they're in a market of their own, that they've created a space for themselves. And within that space, within that audience that values what they do, they can charge more. And because they appeal to a specific audience, that they will win more business more often.
Yep.
That is what I want to see. And not complaining that other people are in the industry. Because guess what? That's like a restaurant saying that there's a new restaurant opening up. People are going to stop coming here.
Yep.
No, there's always going to be more restaurants. There's always going to be more businesses. That's a sign of a healthy industry, that there's new entrants coming and going. But you need to, when you're in the space, make a name for yourself, carve out a space for yourself, and capture an audience.
Yep, that is the way. That is the way to go. Once you're creating a viable business, you know what I mean? When you're creating a real business, we're not talking about you just
Yeah.
come up with an idea and just say, oh, all right, then it's a business. We're talking about creating a business. It helps to be, you know what I mean, a niche, so to speak. Like you're dominating on one space and say, yo, yeah, you are. May I control the space and focus on delivering as best as possible in that area, so to speak. So as I say, yo, like it talking to Adrian, we could have talked for days on top of days, you know what I mean, and the wealth of information and you know what I mean, the knowledge where me get from Adrian. Even when we talk personally, you know what I mean, drive go up my office
Hmm.
and sit down and chat for hours. You know what I mean? Hopefully
Yeah.
him not have no bag of work for the cause him knows when we come through. It's a bag of chatting. But
Yeah.
it's a part you know what I mean, and this is something that I realize um I am always doing. I'm always looking for, you know what I mean, go link up with the creatives them and talk to them, you know what I mean, in person sometime. You know what I mean? Sometimes you try and, you know what I mean, you try and just kind of get a vibes, so to speak. And sometimes when you talk to a creative, when you leave the space, you know what I mean, you say, oh shoot, new ideas are come to your mind. Because whenever we talk, we always talk about either what books we are read, or we are talk about what we are learn, or even how we are improve our business, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because as you can see, me not really I try go and go talk to, you know, so to speak, waste man. A business people we are talk to so we can improve
Hmm.
our business, so to
Yeah.
speak. You know what I mean? Me can go some man, me a Asian or reason, and me say something and probably not even in the moment him like, oh sure, you know, me never think about it like that. Or him say something and me I
Yeah.
say, oh you know, me never think about it like that. Maybe me need if you have a different approach. Or me say something from a book where me read and then I say, oh you know, could I look point like that, or him say something from a book where him read, or me recommend a book where me read, or him recommend a book where him read. So it's a thing whereas I saw you have to basically grow the space. And we talk about niche marketing a lot, and we talk about specializing a lot, because we know that that is the fastest way if you have a successful business. Not trying to do everything where everybody do. Try to
Hmm.
work on a space where you say, yo, yeah, you are, me I go dominate. When I say dominate, I mean like dominate in that space. People supposed to recognize that space as mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is where how I think about it. But as me say, we could have talked for years, and we don't want
Yep.
to keep the man for the whole night, you know what I mean? Him have a family too. At least me the home, him still there in him office, you know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
don't want to keep the man the whole night and everything. So we are gonna basically end the show right now. You know, this is a longer show than the normal shows. We're going an hour and a half, and I'm glad to say I have you up on the show, because the level of information where this episode of night is information that I really appreciate when an next creative share this information, or this information, so other creatives can get a better, you know what I mean, understanding. Because an idea, that is what everybody are trying to do. We are trying to navigate the space and understand the space. So a person who navigate the space, understand the space, and dominate the space, have a certain level of information that they can share. And I'm glad to say you're basically a company program where creatives share knowledge basically and come and share the knowledge. So this can, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
basically a next creative, or a younger creative, or an older creative, because you know say all the creative thing work, it don't necessarily even have age, you know what I mean,
True.
can listen this and understand what we are saying and get the energy and the vibes. Brother, thank you so much, you know what I mean, as I say, Whole heap of gems, and much respect for company show. And as we say, yo, we're gonna run the outro, and then
Okay.
we deal with the code. So thanks again, you know
And
what I
thanks
mean?
for
And
having me. Yeah,
you
man.
can listen the outro, cause the outro I think have a lot to do with even you. Me try and tie the outro into me
Okay.
guess them. So just listen to the outro. Yeah, yes. Wow, what a show. What a show, I swear. Amazing show, amazing information just give out. This basically quote is by Zig Ziglar. We don't need to look up Zig Ziglar. This man is a serious thing. Success is not the doing, not the getting in the what is not the getting in the trying, not the triumph. Success is a personal standard, reaching for the heights that is in you, becoming all that you can be. If we do our best, we are a success. Let me read this over because I don't think we read it according to how it's supposed to read. It never flow. Success is in the doing, not the getting. In the trying, not the triumph. Success is a personal standard, reaching for the highest that is in us, becoming all that we can be. If we do our best, we are a success. So what I'm basically I say is that um we a lot of person think about success as what we're trying to do, so to speak. You know what I mean? And we focus on the triumph. We focus on the celebrating our wins and stuff like that. But success is really about us being our best. You know what I mean? Being our best, being the best at what we do, being the best at whatever we do. So you can be a successful street sweeper. You can be a successful garbage collector, so to speak. So it's not about the triumph. It's not about the glory, so to speak. It's really about you being your best at what you do. Just being the best at whatever you do, so to speak. So big quote by Zig Ziglar. And may I get into Zig Ziglar? These are the second quote I'm going to put on the screen from him. Him have some really nice quotes. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. And that was another episode of Creative Always Be.